Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's jump right in. We're tackling something almost everyone deals with, those really sticky negative thoughts.
Yeah, they're definitely a common experience, and you shared some great material about how to actually, let go of them.
Exactly. So that's our focus today. We want to dig into why they hang around and, more importantly, what we can actually do about them.
Right. Because when they start running the show, dictating how you feel, how you act, that's when you need tools. So our mission basically is to understand why they're so persistent and pull out those practical, actionable steps for managing them straight from the source material you found.
Okay, let's start with the why. Why do they have such staying power? The material mentioned familiarity, like it becomes a habit.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. It's almost like, well, think of a comfy old sofa that's actually terrible for your posture.
Okay.
I know that feeling.
Right, you sink into it because it's easy, it's familiar, even if it's not good for you. Our brains kind of do that with thought patterns. They stick to the known paths, even the negative ones.
Even the negative ones. And the source also points to, our past, like growing up around a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
That external voice can easily become your internal voice, your own inner critic, just running on repeat.
Wow, that sofa analogy really hits home. And the inner critic idea, it's like adopting a heckler for your own mind.
It can feel like that, but here's a crucial point the material makes, and it's huge. Negative thoughts are not facts.
Right. I love how to describe them like passing clouds in the sky of your mind.
Isn't that a great image? It captures the temporary nature. Clouds drift in, they drift out, the sky remains.
But we get stuck staring at the storm clouds sometimes.
Exactly. We mistake the cloud for the whole sky. And that's why the source says, quite directly, your thoughts are not always true. Don't believe everything you think.
That feels like the first really big step, just recognizing that disconnect.
Absolutely. It's foundational. So, okay, understanding why is one thing, but how do we actually loosen the grip?
The material lays out 5 practical steps. Let's get into those. Step 1 seems to be about awareness, just noticing.
Precisely. You can't change what you don't see, right?
Right.
So the suggestion is simple, but powerful. When you feel that negative wave, anxiety, sadness, whatever, just pause. Ask yourself, literally, what am I thinking right now? That simple question can interrupt the automatic flow.
And you mentioned writing them down too, to break the trance. I like that phrase.
You can too. It's like you get so caught in the thought, seeing it on paper gives you a bit of perspective, creates separation.
Okay, so you see more clearly. That makes sense. Which leads nicely into step 2, questioning the thought.
Exactly. This is where you actively engage. You don't just notice it, you investigate it.
What kind of questions?
The source suggests asking things like, is this thought helpful or hurtful? That's a big one.
Helpful or hurtful?
And also, is it actually true? Or is it just a story I'm telling myself?
So you're checking its usefulness and its validity.
Right, because often these negative thoughts are based on, fear or old assumptions, not current reality. The example given was challenging. I always mess things up.
Yeah, that feels like a common one.
Is it always true? Probably not. Maybe it's fear talking. So you start to dismantle it piece by piece.
The source calls it challenging a bully with truth and self-compassion. That feels empowering.
It really is. You shift from being a victim of the thought to actively questioning it, which naturally brings us to step 3.
Replacing and reframing, so consciously choosing a different thought.
Exactly. But it's crucial, as the source points out, that this isn't about fake positivity.
Right, not toxic positivity.
No, it's not about pretending things are great when they're not. It's about choosing a thought that's more empowering and more true in a deeper sense.
Like the example.
Yeah.
Swapping I'm not good enough for I'm growing, I'm learning. I don't have to be perfect to be worthy.
Precisely. It acknowledges the process, the learning, the inherent worth. It's shifting from that harsh inner critic to more of an inner ally, maybe.
An ally. I like that. Okay, step 4, mindfulness. This involves things like meditation, deep breathing. How does that help let go?
Well, mindfulness fundamentally changes your relationship with your thoughts. Instead of being swept away by every single one, you learn to observe them, kind of like watching traffic go by without jumping into every car.
Okay.
The exercise in the source is great. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and silently say, I see you, thought, but I don't have to follow you.
I see you, thought, but I don't have to follow you. That creates space, doesn't it?
Exactly. It creates that crucial gap between the thought and your reaction. It acknowledges the thought is there, but you choose not to get entangled. That's where the freedom comes in.
freedom from being controlled by them.
Got it. And the final step, step 5, focuses on gratitude.
Yes. And what's really neat here is how gratitude and negativity they can't really coexist easily in the same mental space.
It's hard to feel genuinely grateful and genuinely resentful at the exact same moment. It really is. So, the practice recommended is simple. Daily, write down, say, 3 things you're grateful for, big or small.
Like the examples, your morning coffee, your pet.
Just waking up that day. Anything. It sounds almost too simple, but doing it consistently starts to, shift your focus.
The source actually said gratitude rewires the brain. That sounds pretty significant.
It is, and there's science backing this up now. When you deliberately focus on the positive, you strengthen those neural pathways. You're essentially training your brain to notice the good more readily.
So you're building up the positivity muscle in a way.
That's a great way to think about it. You're highlighting the light even in darkness, as the source puts it, making it easier to access that more hopeful perspective.
Okay, so pulling this all together.
Yeah.
The main message seems to be that it's not about erasing negative thoughts entirely because, that's probably impossible.
Right. It's more about changing your relationship with them, learning to manage them skillfully.
And the source stresses this is a daily practice, doesn't it? Not a quick fix.
Definitely. It takes consistent effort. But, and this is the encouraging part, it does get easier over time. You build new mental habits. Life starts to feel genuinely lighter, freer.
And for anyone listening who feels really stuck right now, overwhelmed by these thoughts, the source had some really kind words.
It did. Things like, you're not broken, you're not alone.
And importantly, you can take control of your mind. That feels vital.
Absolutely. And maybe the most fundamental reminder, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them.
You're the sky, not the cloud.
Exactly. You're the observer, the space where thoughts happen. Remembering that is incredibly empowering.
It really is. So it sounds like the power to manage these thoughts, it really does lie within you, the listener.
It absolutely does. Which leads to a really interesting final thought for you to ponder.
Yeah.
As you practice these steps, as you start giving less energy, less power to those negative thoughts, what happens to that mental space that opens up? What might you choose to fill it with instead? What new ideas or joys or just peace might you invite in?